Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Podcast. I'm Safi, and I'm so excited to help you improve your English today. In this video, we'll explore over 145 of the most common phrases used in everyday American English. These phrases are used constantly in daily life, whether you're chatting with friends, shopping at a store, ordering food, working at a job, or just talking with someone on the phone. If you want to sound more natural, more fluent, and more confident when speaking English, then this video is exactly what you need. We'll go through a variety of real-life phrases used by native speakers. I'll explain what each one means and how to use it. And of course, I'll include lots of practice examples and situations so you can understand how to use them in context. Let's begin with some simple phrases that are incredibly common in everyday conversations. You've probably heard people say things like, "What's up?" or "How's it going?" These are informal greetings used among friends or people you know well. "What's up?" doesn't always mean that the person wants to know what you're doing, it's more of a casual hello. The usual reply might be, "Not much," or "Just hanging out." So you might hear a conversation like this, "Hey, what's up?" And the other person responds, "Not much, just relaxing, you?" Another friendly phrase is, "How's it going?" And you might answer with, "Pretty good," or "Can't complain." Another very common phrase is, "I'm good," which is often used in response to, "How are you?" In American English, saying, "I'm good" is a perfectly natural way to say you're doing well. For example, someone might say, "Hey Mia, how are you today?" And I'd answer, "I'm good, thanks, how about you?" Notice how casual and friendly that sounds. It's all about tone and connection. You'll also hear people say, "No worries," or "It's all good." These phrases are used to show that everything is okay, even if something didn't go as planned. For instance, if someone accidentally bumps into you and says, "Oh, I'm sorry," you might respond with, "No worries." Or if a friend is late and apologizes, you could say, "It's all good, I just got here too." These phrases help to keep communication friendly and stress-free. Another important phrase is, "Sounds good." This is often used to show agreement or approval. If someone says, "Let's meet at 5, you can reply with, "Sounds good." It's a quick way to say you agree with the plan. Similarly, you might hear, "That works for me," which also means that the plan or suggestion is okay with you. For example, "Can we do the meeting tomorrow morning?" And you say, "Sure, that works for me." Now, let's talk about phrases used when making or changing plans. In daily life, people often say things like, "Let me know," which means you're asking someone to inform you later. For example, "Let me know if you need help." Or "Let me know what time works best for you." It's a polite way to keep communication open. Another phrase that's useful is, "I'm down," which is informal and means I'm interested. Or "I agree." For example, if your friend says, "Do you want to go see a movie tonight?" and you reply, "Yeah, I'm down," that means you're happy to go. In the same way, you can say "I'm in" to show you're joining something. Like, we're planning a road trip this weekend. Are you in? And you could say, definitely, I'm in. Let's pause and try a quick practice session with the phrases we've learned so far. Imagine you're texting a friend. They ask, "Hey, what's up?" You respond with, "Not much, just chilling. You?" Then they say, "Want to grab lunch at 1?" And you reply, "Sounds good, I'm down." Finally, they add, "Cool, let me know if you want me to pick you up." This kind of exchange is super common in American English, and using these phrases will help you sound more fluent and relaxed. Let's keep going. In American English, you'll also hear people say, "I'm just kidding." Or simply, "Just kidding," when they want to show that something they said was a joke. This is useful when you say something funny or sarcastic and want to make sure the other person knows you're not serious. For example, if you say, "You're always late, just kidding," it means you're joking and don't really mean it. Another way to say it is, "I'm just messing with you," which is also playful and not meant to offend. If you're surprised or impressed, you might say, "No way." Or, "Are you serious?" These are common expressions of surprise or disbelief. For example, if someone says, "I won the lottery," you might respond with, "No way, that's amazing." You can also use, "You've got to be kidding me," for situations that seem unbelievable. For instance, if you find out your flight was canceled at the last minute, you might say, "You've got to be kidding me." Now let's look at some phrases used in daily tasks. When you go shopping, you might say, "I'm just looking." If a store clerk asks if you need help, this lets them know you're browsing, but not ready to buy yet. You might also hear, "Do you have this in a different size?" Or, "Can I try this on?" When shopping for clothes, when ordering food, you could say, "I'll have the cheeseburger." Or, "Can I get a coffee to go?" These are natural, simple phrases for common situations. You'll also hear, "I'm on it," which means you're taking care of something or starting it right away. For example, if your boss says, "Can you send me that report?" you might reply, "I'm on it." Another phrase is, "I got it," which can mean, "I understand," or "I'll take care of it," like if someone says, "Can you grab the phone?" and you say, "I got it." It means, "You'll do it." It can also mean you understood something clearly, like when someone explains something to you, and you respond, "Got it." Another useful phrase is, "That makes sense." This is used when something becomes clear or understandable. If someone explains why a store is closed early, you could respond, "Oh, that makes sense." It shows that now you understand the reason. If you're not sure about something, you might say, "I'm not sure," or "Let me think about it." These are polite ways to express uncertainty or delay a decision. Now let's do another practice example. Imagine you're at work. Your coworker says, "The client meeting moved to 2 p.m. You answer, "Got it." That makes sense. Then your boss says, "Can you update the presentation?" And you respond, "I'm on it." Later, someone asks if you want to join a group lunch. You reply, "Let me think about it. I might be busy." This shows how these phrases can be used naturally in a work setting. We'll continue building your vocabulary and fluency with even more useful and high-frequency American English phrases. Remember, the goal is not just to memorize, but to understand when and how to use each phrase naturally. Let's keep moving with more everyday phrases that American English speakers use naturally in conversation. One extremely common phrase you'll hear is, "hang on" or "hold on." These both mean to wait a moment. If someone is on the phone and needs a second to do something, they might say, "Hang on, let me grab a pen." Or, "Hold on, I'm checking the calendar." These expressions are casual and polite ways to ask for a moment before continuing. Another great one is, "be right back," often shortened to BRB in text messages. It means you're stepping away, but will return soon. If you're chatting with someone and need to get a drink, you might say, "BRB, I need some water." It's useful in both spoken and written communication. You might also say, "Give me a sec," which means give me a second. It's just another way to say, wait a moment. Now let's talk about, "it depends." This is a very common phrase used when the answer to a question isn't simple. For example, if someone asks, "Do you like living in the city?" You might say, "It depends on the neighborhood, the weather, and the people." It means the answer changes based on the situation. In daily conversations, people often use it when things aren't black and white. Let's not forget, which is often used to clarify or add more to what was just said. For example, "I don't love the movie." It was okay, but not great. It helps explain your thoughts more fully. Another similar phrase is, "you know," which can be used to check if the listener understands or agrees. For example, "I didn't really like the ending." It's like checking in during a conversation. You'll also hear phrases like, "by the way," and "anyway." By the way is used when you want to mention something not directly related to the main topic. For example, "By the way, I saw your friend yesterday." It adds extra information. Anyway is used to return to the main topic or to change the subject. For example, "Anyway, let's get back to the meeting agenda." Now here's another phrase, "not really." This is used to gently say no or disagree. If someone asks, "Do you like spicy food?" and you don't, you might say, "not really." It's a softer, more polite way to express a negative opinion. You can also say, "I don't think so," which is also more gentle than a hard no. These expressions are very common in casual conversations. How about the phrase, "kind of," or "sort of"? These are used to soften a statement or express uncertainty. For example, "Are you tired?" might be answered with, "kind of." Or, "Was the movie good?" and you say, "sort of." "It was okay," These are perfect for giving unclear or middle-of-the-road answers. They help you sound more natural and less direct. Now let's do a short practice example with these. Imagine you're on a call with a friend. And they say, "Do you have time to talk now?" And you say, "Hold on, I just need to close the door." "Okay, I'm back." Then they ask, "Did you like that show we watched?" And you answer, "Sort of. I mean, it was interesting, but kind of slow." Then they say, "I thought the ending was boring," and you respond, "Yeah, I know, right? Anyway, what are you up to this weekend?" These conversations happen every day. And the more you hear and practice them, the easier they become. Let's look at another group of common phrases used when expressing feelings. You'll hear phrases like, "I'm tired" or "I'm exhausted" to describe low energy. "I'm beat" is a more casual version of this. For example, "I worked all day and now I'm beat." Another one is, "I'm stressed out," which is very common when someone is overwhelmed. For example, "I've got 3 projects due tomorrow." "I'm totally stressed out." On the more positive side, you might hear people say, "I'm pumped" or "I'm excited" when looking forward to something. For instance, "I'm pumped for the concert this weekend." Or you could say, "I'm looking forward to it," which is a more polite and formal version. It's helpful to know both the casual and more formal versions of these expressions, because you'll hear them in different situations. We also use expressions like, "That's awesome" or "That's amazing" to react positively to news. If someone says they got a new job, you might reply, "That's awesome. Congratulations." You might also say "Good for you" or "Nice work" to show support. These kinds of responses help keep the conversation friendly and encouraging. If someone tells you something unfortunate, like they didn't get the job, you might respond with, "That sucks," which is informal and used when things go badly. You can also say, "I'm sorry to hear that" for a more polite or formal situation. For example, "I'm sorry to hear about your loss" or "I'm sorry to hear you're not feeling well." These responses are important for showing empathy. Let's do a little practice with emotions and reactions. Your friend says, "I just found out I got the job." And you respond, "That's amazing. I'm so happy for you." Then another friend says, "I missed my flight." And you reply, "Oh no, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that." Later, your coworker says, "I'm so tired." And you say, "Yeah, same here. I'm beat today too." These short phrases make your conversations feel real and natural. Another phrase you'll often hear is "fingers crossed." This means you're hoping for good luck. If someone is about to go to a job interview, you might say, "Good luck, fingers crossed for you." Similarly, people say "break a leg" when wishing someone luck, especially before a performance. It sounds strange, but it's actually a positive thing to say. When people agree with each other, they often say exactly or totally. These are very common in American English. For example, "This weather is perfect," and someone responds, "Totally." Or someone says, that movie was too long. And you agree. Exactly. You can also use for sure to show strong agreement. For instance, do you want to go to the beach tomorrow? And you say, for sure. We also use you bet to mean definitely or of course. If someone says, can I borrow your charger? You could say, you bet. Another one is no doubt, which means you strongly agree. Like, she's the best player on the team, and you say, no doubt. Let's do one more mini practice. Someone says, this place has the best pizza, and you answer, totally, no doubt. Then they ask, will you come to the game? And you say, you bet, I wouldn't miss it. These phrases are short, but they add a lot of energy to your speech. Now let's talk about phrases used when making suggestions or giving advice. One of the most common ways to suggest something is by saying, how about, for example, how about we go out for dinner tonight? Or, how about taking a break? It's a friendly and casual way to offer an idea. A similar phrase is, why don't we, as in, why don't we watch a movie? Or, why don't we call her and ask? These are both soft and polite ways to suggest an action. Another useful one is, maybe we could. This one is especially helpful when you want to sound gentle or not too pushy. For example, maybe we could try that new coffee place. These kinds of expressions are often used in group settings where you want to include everyone in the decision. You'll also hear people say things like, let's give it a try, which means you're open to experimenting or seeing how something goes. When giving advice, you should use a phrase that you'll hear a lot. For example, you should drink more water. Or, you should talk to your boss about it. This is straightforward, but can sound a bit strong. To make it softer, people often say, if I were you, I'd, for example, if I were you, I'd take the job. Or, if I were you, I'd rest for a bit. It's a good way to give advice without sounding too direct. Practice this short example. Imagine your friend says, I'm not sure what to do about the meeting. You could reply, maybe we could go over your notes together. Then your friend says, I'm so stressed about everything. You might say, if I were you, I'd take a break and go for a walk. These little conversations are full of real-life expressions you'll hear every day. Let's now go into expressions used when asking for help or offering help. One of the simplest ways to ask for help is to say, can you help me? Or, could you help me with this? These are polite and clear. You can also ask, do you mind helping me? Or, would you mind explaining this? These forms are even more polite and common in professional or formal situations. When offering help, you might say, do you need a hand? Or, can I help you with that? These are friendly and kind expressions. Another great one is, let me know if you need anything. People say this to be supportive, especially when someone is going through a tough time. For example, I heard you're moving this weekend. Let me know if you need anything. Here's a quick practice example. You're in the office, and a coworker is struggling with their presentation. You ask, "Do you need a hand?" And they reply, "Yes. Could you help me check my slides?" Later, you see a friend moving boxes, and you say, "Can I help you with that?" These everyday situations show how natural and useful these expressions are. Let's switch gears and look at expressions used to show interest in what someone is saying. A really simple one is, "Really?" with a rising tone. It shows surprise or interest. For example, "I won a contest." Really? You can also say, "No way," or "You're kidding." These are strong expressions of surprise or disbelief. For example, "I got front row tickets to the concert." No way. That's amazing. Another great one is, "That's interesting." It's a more neutral way to show that you're listening and care about what the other person is saying. You might say it when someone tells you something new. "I've been learning how to cook Indian food." That's interesting. What dishes have you tried? It encourages the conversation. To keep going. People also say, "Tell me more," or "Go on," to show that they want the speaker to continue. These are very encouraging and positive. You can also use "I see" or "Got it" to show that you're following along. These little words may seem small, but they are very important for being a good listener. Here's another practice moment. Your friend says, "I finally met my favorite author yesterday." And you say, "No way, that's awesome. Tell me more." Then they say, "She signed my book and even talked with me for 5 minutes." You reply, "Really? That's so cool. What did you talk about?" These phrases help you connect with others and keep the conversation flowing. Let's now talk about expressions related to time. You'll often hear phrases like "in a bit," "in a minute," or "in a sec." These all mean soon and are used casually. For example, "I'll be there in a second." Or "Let's leave in a bit." They are not exact, but are used often in informal conversation. You can also say "right now" to mean immediately. Or "later on" to mean after some time. People often say, "See you soon," "see you in a few," or "catch you later." As ways to say goodbye, but with the idea that they'll see you again soon. These are very friendly and common. For example, "I have to go now, catch you later." Or "I'll call you in a bit, see you soon." Here's one more practice example. You say to a coworker, "I'll email you the report in a bit," and they say, "Sounds good, talk later." Or your friend texts you, "I'm heading out now, catch you later." These everyday phrases help make your English sound more natural and confident. Let's move on to expressions used when talking about your feelings or mood. These are phrases that help you describe how you're doing, and they are super important for daily conversations. A very common one is, "I'm feeling under the weather." This means you don't feel well. Maybe you have a cold or feel tired. For example, I'm feeling a bit under the weather today, so I might leave early. Another common one is, I'm in a good mood. Or, I'm in a bad mood. These describe how you feel emotionally. You might say, I'm in such a good mood today. The sun is out and I slept well. Or, I didn't get enough sleep, so I'm in a bad mood. People also say, I'm stressed out when they have too much to do. Or are feeling pressure. For example, I have 3 deadlines this week. I'm so stressed out. Or you might hear, I'm exhausted, which means extremely tired. I stayed up late working. I'm exhausted. These are very natural and commonly used in work or school settings. If you want to express happiness, you might say, I'm really excited. I'm so happy. Or, I'm thrilled. For example, I'm thrilled about my new job. Or, I'm excited to see my family this weekend. Here's a small practice moment. Your friend says, how are you feeling today? You reply, I'm feeling a bit under the weather, but I'll be okay. Or another day, they say, you seem really happy. And you respond, yeah, I'm in a great mood. I just got some good news. These conversations help express how you feel in a simple, natural way. Now let's look at expressions people use when making plans or talking about intentions. A common one is, I'm planning to. For example, I'm planning to visit my parents this weekend. Or, I'm planning to start working out more. You can also say, I'm thinking of. As in, I'm thinking of trying a new restaurant tonight. These are useful when you're not 100% sure yet, but have an idea in mind. Another one is, I've decided to. This is more definite. For example, I've decided to learn Spanish. Or, I've decided to take the job offer. It means you have made up your mind. Then we have, I might or I may, which are used when you are unsure. For example, I might go out later. Or, I may take a vacation next month. These expressions are especially useful when you're talking about the future in a casual or uncertain way. Here's another short practice. You and your friend are chatting and you say, I'm planning to start a new hobby. Your friend asks, what kind of hobby? And you say, I'm thinking of learning how to paint. Then they say, that sounds fun. I might join you. These everyday phrases help you sound fluent and relaxed.